Hello again from Metro Manila, the Philippines, Southeastern Asia. I continue my brief video series on the pre-Masonic US presidents. William A. McKinley. Truly, also, this was a negative surprise for me because I got the impression from reading his brief biography in William A. de Gregorio's classic book, The Complete Book of US Presidents, that he, just like the previous Freemasonic president on this video series, James Garfield, was one of the most devout US presidents in the 19th century. Well, he was assassinated in September 1901, just 6 months into his second term. He was a devout Methodist and had, at the age of 10, so in probably 1853, first professed his faith publicly. He was one of the few US presidents to conduct hymn singing sessions in the White House, I think on Sunday evenings. In 1899, he wrote a memorandum. My faith encompasses or includes the divinity of Christ, in other words, the Christian belief, cornerstone belief that Jesus Christ is God, the second person of the Godhead, and Christianity as the mightiest factor in the world's civilization. So just like for Garfield, it remains a mystery to me how such a devout Christian president was persuaded to join the Freemasons. Of course, he joined before he became president. According to the Business Insider article from 2017, Roadside America features a post documenting the site where McKinley was first initiated as a Mason while fighting for the Union during the Civil War, so in the early 1860s. His Masonic legacy lives on today, as the lodge he once belonged to is now named after him. According to the Masonic Dictionary, he was made a Mason in Hiram Lodge number 21 of Winchester, Virginia. Before being elected and initiated on May the 1st, passed on May the 2nd, and raised on May the 3rd, 1865. He had turned 22 in January of that year. As a lieutenant, so it happened in the mid 1860s. As a lieutenant, he was making a round in a hospital for Confederate wounded. Noticing that the regimental surgeon distributed gifts of tobacco and money to certain patients, he was told that those particular wounded Southerners were brother Masons. He then expressed his desire to become a member of the fraternity that promoted such sentiments between opposing armies. So this is one of the reasons why even some truly devout Christian men join the Freemasons, because of this outward tendency to help the people in need, including wounded people, especially if they happen to be fellow Freemasons. One wonders just how pure the motives are in the sight of God. Of course, all of us must humbly recognize the fact that much or even most of the time our motives fail to rise to the level of God's righteousness because we are born sinners. So he affiliated with Canton Lodge number 60 of Canton, Ohio on August the 21st, 1867. And then he became a charter member on June the 2nd, 1869 of Eagle Lodge number 431 of the same city. Afterwards, the lodge changed its name to William McKinley Lodge number 431. He received the Royal Arch degree in Canton chapter number 84 on December the 28th, 1883, was made a Knight Templar in Canton Commandery number 38 on December the 23rd, 1884, elected a life member of Washington Commandery or Commandery number 1 in D.C. on December the 23rd, 1896, when he was already the U.S. president-elect, and became an honorary member of the Illinois Masonic Veteran Association on October the 26th, 1898, during his first term as US president. His Masonic activities included reviewing a parade of Knights Templar from the White House on May the 6th, 1897, so just 2 months after his inauguration, a visit to his mother lodge in Winchester, Virginia on May the 19th, 1899, participation in the Masonic centennial observance of the death of George Washington on December the 14th, 1899, again reviewing a Knights Templar parade from the White House on October the 11th, 1900, and attending a reception of California Commandery Number 1 in San Francisco on May the 22nd, 1901. And on December the 6th, 1901, he was fatally shot twice at point blank range by Mr. Leon Czolgosz, a mentally unbalanced Polish-American anarchist and a former mill worker, because in Mr. Czolgosz's opinion, President McKinley was profiting at the expense of the ordinary, honest working people. The doctors in vain searched for one of the bullets. He seemed to improve for several days, but then he had a relapse, I think, on September the 12th, 1901. And during September the 13th, his condition radically deteriorated, and he died in the wee hours of September the 14th, 1901, aged 58. He became the third assassinated US president after Abraham Lincoln and James Garfield. Let's see. McKinley urged immediately after being shot his aides to break the news gently to his mentally unbalanced or troubled wife, Ida, and to disperse the mob that had set on Czolgosz, because otherwise Czolgosz could easily have been lynched, beaten to death. McKinley was taken to the exposition station, aid station, where the doctor was unable to locate the second bullet. Although a primitive X-ray machine was being exhibited on the exposition grounds, it was not used, unfortunately. He was taken to the Milburn house. By the evening of September the 13th, 1901, President McKinley also knew he was dying. "It is useless, gentlemen. I think we ought to have prayer," he said. Relatives and friends gathered around the deathbed. The First Lady sobbed over him. "I want to go too. I want to go too." Her husband replied, we're all going. God's will be done, not ours." And with final strength put an arm around her. Possibly he sang a part of his favorite hymn, "Nearer, My God, to Thee," although other accounts claim that the First Lady sang it softly to him. His funeral service was held at the First Methodist Church. Okay. In addition to the Canton site, there are many memorials to McKinley. For example, the William McKinley Monument in front of the Ohio State House in Columbus, Ohio, and a monument at his birthplace in Niles. 20 Ohio schools bear his name. According to McKinley's biographer H. Wayne Morgan, McKinley died the most beloved president in history. We can, of course, speculate how beloved he would have been had he lived to complete his second term, and had he possibly broken or tried to break the two-term tradition set by the first US president, George Washington, by running for a third term in 1904, or would he have graciously retired in 1905 at the end of his second term. There has been broad agreement among historians that McKinley's election was at the time of a transition between two political eras, dubbed the third and fourth party systems. Kenneth F. Warren emphasizes the national commitment to a pro-business, industrial, and modernizing program represented by McKinley. Historian Daniel P. Klinghardt argued that McKinley's personal control of the 1896 campaign, which he conducted from his front porch, reading speeches to delegations of supporters and other interested people, gave him the opportunity to reshape the US presidency rather than simply follow the party platform. He was a Republican, by representing himself as the voice of the people. Republican strategist Karl Rove exalted McKinley as the model for a sweeping political realignment behind George W. Bush in the 2000s, a realignment that did not happen because after Bush's two-term presidency in 2009, Democrat Barack Obama, the first officially African-American president, although in fact he's a mulatto because his late mother was a white American woman, Obama became president and also served 2 terms until 2017. Some political scientists, such as David Mayhew, questioned whether the 1896 election truly represented a realignment, thereby placing in issue whether McKinley deserves credit for it. A controversial aspect of McKinley's presidency, of course, was the territorial expansion of the United States and the question of imperialism. With the exception of the Philippines granted independence in 1946, the United States still owns the territories taken under McKinley. The territorial expansion of 1898 involving the Spanish-American War that resulted, for example, in Cuba's occupation by the United States is often seen by historians as the beginning of American empire.